Reverend Ellen preached on January 5th, the Unitarian Universalist story is one grounded in love, a story that we can really embody locally, making connections, caring for one another and our neighbors, creating sanctuary where we can nurture resilience, courage, and hope with which to meet the times we are in. The good news is that our local story connects us with all the stories of our UU communities and the stories of our communities of our faith committed to a similar story grounded in love over fear, hate, and judgment. We are not alone. We just need to do our part from where we are, like the story of stone soup. And we need to remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Once upon a time, some travelers came to a village, carrying nothing more than an empty cooking pot. When they arrived, the villagers are unwilling to share any of their food with their very hungry travelers. Sounds like my family when we gather. Then the travelers go to a stream and fill the pot with water. They dropped a large stone in it, I gotta do the sound effect, plop, and placed it over a fire. One of the villagers became curious and asked, "What are you doing?" The travelers answered that they are making stone soup, which tastes wonderful and which they would be delighted to share with all the villagers, although it still needs a little bit of garnish, which they are missing to improve the flavor. The villagers anticipated enjoying a share of the soup, not mind parting with a few carrots if they were going to be able to. So they added the carrots to the soup, and another villager walks by, asks about the pot, and the travelers again mentioned, "This is stone soup," but it still has not reached its full potential. The villagers who anticipated enjoying the other soup enjoying the soup, said, "Well, let's get more villagers to join in." And more villagers added ingredients, potatoes. So in your minds, find a metaphor for potato, creamy, soft, or salty, maybe a little bit of sprinkles of, with butter, a little sprinkle of pepper. So try to think of these foods, of stuff that nourishes our souls. Potatoes, onions, cabbages, peas, celery, tomato, sweet corn, milk, butter, salt, and pepper. Think of how foods like these can nourish our souls and can symbolize something else that nourishes our lives. Finally, the stone, which was unedible, it's removed from the pot, and a delicious and nourishing pot of soup is enjoyed by travelers and villagers who learned a lot. Although the traveler might have seemed to have tricked the villagers into sharing their food with them, they had successfully transformed into a tasty meal shared with everyone. There's a reason why this stone soup has been a folklore for so many, I would say centuries when I was looking into it. And in some countries, like in Russia and the Ukraine, I was hearing that they use a hatchet instead of a stone. And it has all kind of variations all over the nations, but the story's the same. When people come, welcome them. Share with them. And this will nourish all of us and make us better. There's an excerpt by Reverend Alicia Ford that I would like to begin your work with. It's called We Pause to Remember. It speaks to deep remembering through stories. When we take a moment to shed all of that and hear our stories, we hear and see each other into existence, into community. Then we are living into the promise of building the world we dream about. In the spirit and in this spirit, we commit. In the spirit and in this spirit, we pray. So in the spirit of this little excerpt, in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you all to share your stories amongst yourselves. And you can do this from home too, even if it's only with your journal. So obviously the theme for this month is this practice of stories, right? Listening to our stories. But before I ask you to share your stories, I'm going to use a prompt. After the prompt, which is a meditation called Wooed into This World by Scott Taylor, we're going to create a little bit of chaos, because it's got to be a little bit of chaos, and we're going to gather into groups of 3 and no more than 4, please, if you're willing and able. If not, you can just journal. There's notebooks, pencils, and clipboards in some of the seats. And we're going to do it in a minute. And then we're going to gather, and we're going to do it like a sacred listening. First, I have to read this because this is a technical thing here. First, after the meditation, I'll chime and we'll sit in silence a moment. Got it? Then I'll chime and please break into groups of 3 or 4. Got it? Okay, we're silence, and then we're going to break into groups, a little chaos. And each time that I chime, one person in the group listens. If you're not familiar with what sacred listening is, one scribes, and one tells their story. I'll chime every 3 minutes, and you switch your places, and everybody else gets a chance to do it. All right? And until we've completed the circle round. Good? We got that? Did I explain myself clearly? That'd be a miracle. Okay. All right, the meditation. Breathe in and breathe out. Loosen, loosen, loosen. Don't carry the weight of the world on your shoulders and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Who dreamed you into being? What stories sat in their heart as they imagined what you would become? Who helped you imagine your story? Who helped you see your place in the story of the world? And what maybe matters the most? Who helped you understand that you could be the author of your unfolding story? All of which is a way of asking, who listened? Who listened until you could hear yourself speak, until you trusted the voice that is your own? And now that you know what it is like to have the tale of yourself to be heard into being, how might you midwife the story of another into existence? You know the kinds of stories I'm talking about. These kept in cramped spaces of silence, for fear of how hard and narrow this world of ours can be. Who needs your listening so their story can be free? Whose stories need to be held in your heart so it knows it is worth entering into the world? We say it is about listening. But really, it is about love. It is through the affection that our stories are born. They are wooed into this world. Never forget that. Nor this. It is through loving the stories of others and the stories of our own. It is through the loving the stories of others and the stories of our own that we discover they love us back. Mote it be. I invite you to make groups of 3, no more than 4, please. Find somebody who would be willing and able to be the scribe, someone who is willing and able to do the listening, and someone who is willing and able to do the storytelling. And then I'll chime and we'll switch again. The theologian Palmer, as I ask you to come back, please, from your lovely conversation. The theologian Palmer says, the soul is shy. It is hard to sit and just listen for 3 minutes. It is hard. But sometimes that's what we need for those shy souls to have a chance to come out and really speak. But sometimes when we speak, it's our nature to want to answer back or to ask a question about what was spoken. So it's all okay. It's just remember, now and then, let's give a moment of silence as we listen to each other's stories. I hope you enjoyed this practice of telling our stories. They are precious.